Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the segment of Khoj Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. We continue with our recitation from Var Rag Maj, and today we will be reciting the 12th pauri. Mahalla Pehla Slok. मच्छी तारू क्या करे, पंखी क्या आकाश, पत्थर पाला क्या करे, खुसरे क्या घरवास। कुत्ते चंदन लाइयै, बीसो कुत्ती धात, बोला जे समझाइयै, पढ़ियै सिमरत पाठ। अंधा चानण रखियै, दीवे भले 50, चौने सोइना पाइयै, चुन चुन खावे घास। लोहा मारण पाइयै, टहे न होए कपास, नानक मूर्ख एह गुण, बोले सदा विनाश। महला पहला। केहा कंचन टुटे सार, अग्नि गंड पाए लोहार। गोरी सेती टुटे पतार, पुत्ती गंड पवै संसार। राजा मंगै दिते गंड पाए, भुखिया गंड पवे जां खाए। काला गंड नदिया मिही झोल, गंड प्रीति मिठे बोल। बेदा गंड बोले सच कोए, मोया गंड नेकी सत होए। ਏਤ ਗੰਡ ਵਰਤੈ ਸੰਸਾਰ, ਮੂਰਖ ਗੰਡ ਪਵੇ ਮੋਹਿ ਮਾਰ। ਨਾਨਕ ਆਖੇ ਇਹ ਵਿਚਾਰ, ਸਿਫਤੀ ਗੰਡ ਪਵੇ ਦਰਬਾਰ। ਪੌੜੀ। ਆਪੇ ਕੁਦਰਤ ਸਾਜ ਕੈ, ਆਪੇ ਕਰੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ। ਇੱਕ ਖੋਟੇ ਇੱਕ ਖਰੇ, ਆਪੇ ਪਰਖਣਹਾਰ। ਖਰੇ ਖਜ਼ਾਨੇ ਪਾਈਐ, ਖੋਟੇ ਸਟੀਏ ਬਾਹਰ ਵਾਰ। ਖੋਟੇ ਸੱਚੀ ਦਰਗਹਿ ਸਟੀਏ, ਕਿਸ ਆਗੇ ਕਰਹਿ ਪੁਕਾਰ। ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਭਜ ਪਵੈ, ਇਹਾ ਕਰਨੀ ਸਾਰ। ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਖੋਟਿਓ ਖਰੇ ਕਰੇ, ਸ਼ਬਦ ਸਵਾਰਨਹਾਰ। ਸੱਚੀ ਦਰਗਹਿ ਮੰਨਿਅਨ, ਗੁਰ ਕੈ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਪਿਆਰ। गणत तिना दी को क्या करे, जो आप बख्शे करतार। In this passage, Guruji is speaking about a couple of related things. One, the innate structure of creatures and things that determines their behavior. That's really the system's view of life, so to speak, because the principle is that one's structure determines one's behavior. So he offers examples. Machhi Taroo kya kare, pankhi kya akas. Can fish fathom the deep ocean? Can a bird measure the open sky? Now this line particularly is open to multiple readings. We've offered this one. Another alternative to this could be that the deep ocean cannot stop the fish from swimming, nor can the sky stop the bird from flying. This is a pointer to the innate nature inherent in everything. And then, patthar pala kya kare, khusre kya karvas. Does the stone feel cold? And can a eunuch have a family? Again, the inherent limitations of their structures. He goes on to say, Kutte chandana laiye, biso kutti taat. Again, this can be read in multiple ways, but let's offer one way of reading it. If a dog is smeared with sandalwood, kutte chandana laiye, it will still chase after a bitch. Biso kutti taat. What has to be remembered is that tat, the word tat, has multiple connotations. It can mean running after, it can imply a substance, it can also point to the inherent structure of a thing. So essentially, no matter how we read it, what it is saying is that you can't really change the inherent structure or behavior of a dog. It doesn't matter how you dress it up. Likewise, bola je samjhaiye padhiye simrat path. It's like the same thing. The deaf cannot be instructed by reading the scripture aloud to them. It's very obvious. And andha chanan rakhiye dive bale 50. You could light 50 lamps, but the blind will still remain blind. They won't see. And chaune soina paiye chun chun khave kas. You can place all the gold in front of a cow. Guess what? It is going to continue to pick on grass because that is its inherent nature. Loha marana paiye tahena hoye kapas. Now he gives us the example of smelting iron with reducing agents. Loha marana paiye. Maran is a reducing agent. Points to mercury actually and medicinal use, but here the reducing agents that are meant to smelt iron, to extract ore. What he's saying is, even if we melt iron with reducing agents, it does not become cotton. So in the end, he's really pointing to our inherent nature. We are spiritually ignorant. That's why he calls us Murkha. Nanak Murkha eh gun. What is our nature? The nature of the spiritually ignorant? Whatever is spoken to them, it is wasted. Or you could read this to mean, whatever they speak is really of no value. But we would prefer the former explanation, because wisdom is like casting pearls in front of a swine to the ignorant, because you don't see it. You just don't understand it. Now, he's coming in the next salok to the idea of how fractured things are bound together. Again, a pointer to our inherent fracture with the self. And he offers various examples, starting with when a metal like bronze, gold, or iron breaks. Kaya kanchana tutte sar. Then the smith, the goldsmith, the ironsmith, welds it with fire. Fire is the binding agent. Agni gandapaye lohar. Gori seti tutte patar puti gandapame sansar. When a husband and wife separate or are separated, they are bound in the world by their children. Similarly, Raja Mange Ditte Gandapaye, Pukhiya Gandapave Jaghaye. Two examples. The bond between the king or the administration and the population is established by paying taxes when they are demanded. And there is a bond when a hungry one eats between the hungry one and the giver. Similarly, Kala Gand Nadiya Mihi Chol, a famine is turned to plenty by rain that makes the rivers flow. Gandapariti Mithe Bol, the bond of love, is maintained by sweet speech. Veda Gand Bole Sach Koe. The bond with the scriptures is established. In other words, our relationship or engagement with the scripture is meaningful only through truthful living. Likewise, we remember the virtues of the dead. That is how we keep our bonds alive. And he concludes the saloks by saying, Et ganda varte sansar. Murkha ganda pave mohemar, Nanak akhe eh vichar. This is important. Nanak akhe eh vichar. Nanak expresses his considered view. And what is that? Et gand varte sansar. Such are the bonds that prevail in the world. But the fool is reformed only when punished. Murkh gand pave muhe maar. And our bond with the sovereign is established only through glorification, which is assimilating divine qualities. Nanak akhe e vichar sifti gand pave sansar. So that's the key for us. We are fractured. We have an inherent nature which makes us spiritually blind. And so the way to mend this is what is given in the pauri. Ape kudrat saaj ke ape kare bichar, ek khote ek kare ape parkhan har. So having brought forth existence, the Creator Self contemplates upon it. It is not as if He brings forth creation and then just doesn't pay any attention. No. The Creator Self is the appraiser, ape parkhan har, and He appraises what is genuine from the faith. In other words, we are all being appraised to see whether or not we have genuinely transformed ourselves to our true nature. Kare khajane paiye, khote satiye bar var. So the genuine article is kept. The fake one is thrown away. What does that mean? It means that those who have transformed themselves or have found unity with their selves have made it home. The game is over for them. The fake ones are still in a state of spiritual ignorance. Khote satiye baharwar. They still have to go through that cycle. And then he asks the question. He says, Khote sachi dargah satiye kis aage kare pukar. Remember, the fake is being thrown out by the sovereign itself. So where can we appeal? How do we appeal that decision? How do we kind of get home? And the answer is, Satgur piche pajpame, iha karani sar. Submit, follow. It literally means, pajpame means run after the true enlightener, the Satgur. This is the most sublime course of action that you can take in your life. Iha karani sar. Because Satgur khotyo khare kare, a-sabad-a-day. The Satgur's discourse, Shabad, is transforming. Savaranahar. It'll transform you from your fake self, which is the ego, to the real self, which is the Har or the Ram in you. Sachi dargah maniyan gur ke prem pyar. So through the love of Guru wisdom, are we given recognition? In other words, we are admitted to that state of consciousness, that sovereign consciousness. And Guruji says, Ganat tinadi ko kya kare, jo aab bakse kartar. What estimation, what value can we possibly place on those who have received grace? In other words, who have achieved that sovereign state. So we see that what Guruji starts off by saying is that all creatures and things have an inherent structure. A fish swims, a bird flies, a dog chases, and so on. And our inherent nature is spiritual ignorance caused by our structure, which is ego, haume. And ignorance cannot appreciate whatever words of wisdom are spoken to it. It is much like an illiterate person to whom the words formed by the letters, or the printed word, or the written word, is incomprehensible. It's nothing but dots and symbols. But to the one who can read that code, it could be life transforming. It is full of meaning. And then in the second verse, he's providing us examples of how brokenness is bound together. And that is the pointer to our own broken state, the fracture. And the way to bind ourselves with the self is through the Satguru, which acts as the transforming agent. On that note, until the next time, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.